Order. Bylaw number 9323.
Yes, I'll introduce this one, Dr. McGinn. The Brown Act Government Code and the Education Code requires board agendas to provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the board on any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board before or during the board's consideration of the item. The Education Code also states that governing boards shall adopt reasonable regulations to ensure that this intent is carried out. The district and board have previously and will continue to follow and abide by the law on this topic and encourages public participation during and outside our board meetings. The proposed revision to the board bylaw will continue to provide an opportunity on the agenda for members of the public to directly address the board for the board's consideration of agenda items via the public comment on agenda items portion of board meeting agenda. The proposed revision to this board bylaw will also continue our practice of providing an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the board on any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, even if not agendized for a particular regular meeting via the public comments on non-agenda items. Board meeting agenda. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you for that explanation. We have 3 public comments, or 5.
We have 6.
6 public comments on this item. Alright, close the numbers. First person is Sandra Martinez.
Good evening, board. If I'm misinterpreting this, please let me know. But from after I read this, I had some serious concerns. The first, based upon the proposed bylaw amendment, people might think you actually don't want the public to show up or speak on the record. And this is why people might think that. The first thing, in the first paragraph of the public participation, it says you're encouraging attendance of the public. I would call that disingenuous, again, unless my interpretation is incorrect of the amendment that needs to be made. My translation of this is we don't want people to take time out of their busy day to come down here and comment. We'll accomplish that by giving them only 3 minutes to speak on all agenda items, all 52 of them in this case. That way they can't really discuss their concerns with us. The first amendment is number 2, regarding sufficient time under the Brown Act of 3 minutes, which is being deleted in the proposal. I'm assuming your attorneys have made sure that 3 minutes per speaker is sufficient time to speak on the entire agenda, not just the consent calendar, even if there are hundreds of items to address. My third concern is number 6. Where you changed, again, this is my interpretation, correct me if I'm wrong, that public can only comment for 3 minutes on all items and an additional 3 minutes on non-agenda. In addition, only 20 minutes for total on each particular item. And if that is the case, I'm asking, how do you propose to calculate the time spent per item? If I speak 10 seconds on item BB, and 31 seconds on item CC, and 1 minute on item DD, who will be timing and calculating those times for each item? I assume you'll be providing transparent accounting of that time to the public at the time of the meeting, so we'll all know exactly what we can and cannot address. So based upon the amendments here, I really suggest you do not approve it. And I repeat what I initially said. One might really think you don't want public to participate in board meetings. And then that would make the public wonder why. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Paul Haley.
Board, I would like to urge a no vote on this motion. It would appear that this board is not interested in hearing the public and passing the suppressive motion to eliminate public speech and comments on general consent items is a gross violation of our constitutional freedom of speech, which, as a veteran, I'm very affected by. And I hope you will consider this vote very carefully. This is discouraging speech and participation in our elected systems, and it's a chilling thing that just happened here in Oceanside. This district's board is acting in a dictatorial manner, and if you vote for this measure, it will be used against you in the upcoming election and eventual recall. So you want to be able to explain this to the public in your campaign literature. The citizens are going to ask for questions. Why are they being denied input? Is their input not appreciated, valued? And speaking of freedom of speech, why is Internet access blocked here in this building? I asked for a password, and no correct password was given. I could file a FOIA request to find out and get an answer. I would like an answer from someone on this board for why we do not have Internet access. I was trying to get a hold of someone here, and I could not reach them. And that's disruptive to our ability to communicate and to research and download agenda items, speak to them. So, thank you for your time.
Next is Bill. Also, it's coming up. Can I ask Dr. Nolan, the Wi-Fi? I know that they have that reception here, but apparently they're for it. Is the Wi-Fi have guest access, or is it?
I'd like to have my gravel piece if you don't mind. I'm not.
Sorry, Mr. Gravelin, we're putting you on the spot. Hold on, Joseph. I'm sorry.
The password is Oceanside22. That's Oceanside with capital O, 22. We weren't allowed to leave it open, an open network, for cybersecurity purposes, and E-Rate doesn't allow open networks, so we have to close it. The password, Oceanside22.
Alright. Thank you. I understand that. But yeah, the cell reception is horrible. Alright. Thank you. Sorry to be on the spot. Alright. You ready, Joseph?
Yes. Good evening, board members. I have probably been speaking and sharing truth at these meetings for quite some time now, and so have many others who I have seen speak tonight. We have gladly shared truth, and we have attempted to encourage you board members to step up and not force agendas on innocent children who truly do not know any better. The lead should be chosen by a child on their own and not shoved in their faces 5 days. I understand that when a child is dropped off at a school, they should expect to be at or in a supportive public space amongst their fellow children where they can gladly make friends, build community with others, as well as have an opportunity to simply enjoy their childhood.
Joseph, are you speaking to the item about the violence?
Yes, I am. Okay. I'm getting to that. While being taught the basic fundamentals of an education and academics by teaching professionals and therefore preparing them to think critically and prepare them to become responsible adults. When it comes to these meetings, we are sharing these truths not to offend or to upset or to attack anyone here in this board. We are doing it because that is what we have known, it is what we know for a school environment should be. That is what I grew up in. Last time I checked, you guys have teachers teaching the proud history of this wonderful country, which includes the Constitution, which included in that great document is our rights, freedom of speech. While you guys are entitled to freedom of speech yourself, so are we members of the public. If you have teachers teaching about freedom of speech and try and take it away from the parents and the public, you would then be lying to children, which isn't right. I encourage you guys to strongly consider these truths, and I encourage myself a no motion on this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Regarding quorum and abstentions under 7C, it says when there is no conflict of interest that requires abstention, the members have the duty to vote. This policy indicates then that there can be possible conflicts of interest. I say that a board member
who has received campaign funds and backing from the Union of Teachers, or the teachers, should certainly abstain from voting on teachers' salaries. Wouldn't you find that a conflict of interest, Board? How many of you present have not received teacher or union funds? Mr. Blessing, I do have a paper that said you received 6,000 the last election. Yes. Yeah, excuse me, your campaign did for posters. You received money. I have the paper. I'll show it to you. Okay, I'll show it to you. I'll show it to the whole board. Public participation under that item. Number 4, board members or staff may respond to public questions on non-agenda items. Why have we been told that you cannot comment on them? But I see that someone read this resolution, so you're responding a little bit more tonight, but those are agenda items. So if you were told not to respond on non-agenda items, I want to know by whom. Number 6, speakers are to be allowed 3 minutes total on agenda items, including consent items. This is a direct violation of California Code on Meetings number 54954-3, and that states, every agenda for regular meetings shall provide opportunity for the public to directly address the legislative body on any item of interest. Therefore, if you do vote for this revision, you are directly violating state law. Often there are several items in the consent agenda that we would like to discuss but cannot if you vote for this revision. We also suspect that several items are purposely being added to the consent section purposely to limit our questions and to get passed with one vote. Remember, a vote for this violates your California state law, legislative law. Thank you.
Susan Custer and Todd Madison.
Good evening. I really only have one question, and since you are answering questions, I'm happy to devote my time to allowing you to answer this question. And what do you mean exactly by allowing us only 3 minutes to speak? We need clarification.
Yeah, go ahead.
Total, 3 minutes total is what it says.
The board, the way the education code reads and the government code 54954.3, education code 35145.5 gives the board the opportunity to hear public comment before or during considering an item. So what this proposes is that we would move all public comment for on-agenda items. It would basically be after all the reports. So you could hear all public comments for on-agenda items, go through your agenda, and then you would hear any public comment. And we are allowed to do that by law.
For a total of how much time?
All right.
For a total of how much time? I have 1 minute and 46 seconds.
It says 3 minutes.
3 minutes, but not 3 minutes for each item. You're going to count our minutes? Who's going to be the timekeeper?
So let me clarify the way this would work. Is public comment for on-agenda items would be moved all to one location. So each public speaker would have an opportunity to have 3 minutes to speak on on-agenda items. And then for public comments on off-agenda, each speaker would have 3 minutes of an opportunity to speak.
So everything on the agenda will be put to one 3-minute segment. And I can stand up here and say I want to speak on 2A and 4D or whatever, and use so that by the time that item is actually reviewed for vote, no one will remember what we said. I don't believe this is a lot going over. And this is legal, you run this by your attorney? He wrote the policy, would he be happy to explain this to us?
Alright, do you have any other comments?
No, but I'm still at 36 seconds.
Yeah, once again, it's at our discretion whether we're gonna answer.
Okay, so public participation outside the board meeting, you said that earlier. In the board meeting or out of the board meeting, you'll have public participation.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So we can meet with you outside of the board meeting if you limit our public participation to
You can always meet with board members.
But they won't take our meetings, that's the problem.
That's at our discretion.
So it's not at our discretion who we can meet with. It's totally at your, if you don't want to hear from us, you don't have to meet with us or let us speak here.
That's exactly right.
I don't see how that's legal.
All right, the time is up. I think you're up.
Wow. So I had something to say here, but I can't believe what I just heard. The level of complete disdain for public input. Completely. I mean, I can't believe that you think that limiting public comment to 3 minutes for the entire agenda is somehow acceptable. There's legal and there's right. The Japanese internment was legal. Was it right? Separate but equal was legal. Was that right? No. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you can tell by the comments here that people are confused over the language. You know, that was not clear to me that it was going to be that way. I thought that you were doing something else here. But the very idea that you're not going to allow people to speak individually on each individual item, as we've done historically, and as is done historically through pretty much every district in San Diego County, if not the state, is absolutely unacceptable. I can't believe, how can anybody really accept that?
All right, and to remind you of Norm number 3, I want to hear what Mr. Madison has to say.
Thank you. But it baffles me. You know, I mean, I've gone to many board meetings in many districts, and I've never heard of this anywhere. No one has the disdain for the public that Oceanside Unified has. If you vote no on this, that would be awesome. That would actually show that you believe in hearing from the public, that you believe that public input is important. We hear that all the time, but it seems to be just sort of a whitewash. Maybe a little bit of frosting on top of a cake. We know what the cake is made of. So I'm kind of dumbstruck here, you know, totally off base here on my comments, but the very idea that that's actually the intent, particularly with people who at one point expressed a lot of interest in parent input, parent advocacy. And do you just say how high when the superintendent says jump? Is that what happens here? Or is this a plan that you all made to deliberately stifle public input? I have a hard time believing that, because I know some of you, and I don't think that's really possible. But I just can't believe that you would have any vote but no at this point. That's crazy. I don't know if this is a CSBA thing. And if you look at the language, it's so unclear that it's hard to say that the CSBA would put that in there. I wasn't able to find it on their website, so it seems to me like this is something that we're just making up, winging it as we go, as an attempt to further quash public input and make sure you don't actually happen to listen to all these people who take their time out to come and tell you what they feel should be happening in our district. So, good luck with that. Thank you very much.
Or discussion? So we had two items tonight in which we had a public hearing that no one spoke at. Do we have another speaker?
Yes. I don't have any other. We're still on item 7C.
We still have public comments for non-agenda items coming up. Here, we'll wait for clarification. While we're working on this, we had two opportunities tonight, and we have these often where we have public hearings and no one spoke tonight. But I mean, that's another opportunity for people. I'm happy that we're considering moving public comments on agenda items to right after the board report, so we can hear them and think about them as the agenda items come up, and that gives us more time to contemplate them. So I'm glad we're moving that up because that's important, and we can hear that at the beginning of our meeting. That's my thought.
I'm having trouble with this. I got to admit to that. And I'm supposed to have. My suggestion actually is that the concern that folks have expressed for the last 2 years was that we had public comments moved to the end. And what I would suggest that we do is adopt this policy so that we have public comment in front of the meeting on non-agenda items, and also have a front of the meeting for the agenda item. Have a limitation, 3 minutes for each. And I know that would be a challenge to getting your comments on all those items, but I know you guys can get to that point and do that. Because we hear similar themes very often, and you guys are excellent at doing it. We also have very open communications by email, text, and other means. Meetings, if you want to have meetings, no one has me to meet with them. We all have our own privileges and our own rights and our own lives to live, but we are public servants, and if we want to meet with you, we will meet. So those avenues are open. Again, you know we have email. We know we read your emails. We know we take your public comments. We speaking here for 2 years solid, at least the last 3 years. I want to hope in this last election when I was last re-elected. And I've heard the same thing pretty for every meeting. On any item that comes up, it's 3 things. And there's only 3 things that you want to talk about. And that's disappointing. Yeah, I know. That's what it is. It's very, very difficult to change every subject. So, at any rate, that's all I can mention. I would feel that, and I know the chair's responsibility is among the superintendent to set the agenda and where items appear, but I would strongly encourage to adopt this policy that we also consider public comment items up to agenda items. So the public can come here at 6:15. We do our oral reports, and then they comment, and leave. They want to, they can say.
Take that into consideration.
Yeah, I'm going to move down and make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah.
Alright. Any other comments, questions? Alright, I'll call for the vote. Everyone in favor of voting for item C, the adoption of amended board bylaw number 9323, say aye.
Aye.
We're voting on it, bringing it
Yeah, so what I'll do, so what I heard is first motion and a second, and Mike made the request to, with this, move public comment for on-agenda items to the front after board report, and public comment for off-agenda items also to the front.
I'm not including that in my motion.
Yeah, okay, you're just kind of putting that on the side, and I'll make sure that Raquel has that information when I do agenda directly.
Secondly, I think in my motion I did intend to also waive first reading.
It's a motion to approve the policy as is, waived so it becomes effective, as we've been doing for the last year and a half.
I'll make a second. Any more questions? Thank you, Nancy, for that clarifying question. Alright, call for the vote. All in favor of adopting item C, the adoption of amended board bylaw number 9323, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to item 8, public comment on non-agenda items.